Hello guys, for today we have an amazing TvT game between two cool players. We have first Kelazhur spawning here, this is a Brazilian Terran, and his opponent is Maru from South Korea, currently the best Terran in the world, possibly one of the best players in the history of StarCraft 2 overall, so it's gonna be a hell of a match. We're spawning on Ghost River. This is a kind of a boring map in my opinion, doesn't really have many interesting details about it, maybe except for that passage with crystals here in this top corner of the map, and also no gold bases for this map, as you can see, just normal straight bases, but at the same time not so many locations to expand to, so it's gonna be probably not as long as a game. At least like on some maps could be much longer because of the bases, because of the layout. Here mostly comes down to mid-game and maybe like early late game fights, and Kelazhur is actually wanna really end that quickly, maybe. So the barracks are starting here. It's gonna be a proxy Reaper from the looks of it, and Maru is just playing it safe and sound. Just a solid playstyle, nothing really special from him so far. So it's gonna be really interesting. For this first Reaper, it needs to do some damage, maybe even cancel the second CC. It's very unlikely considering that Kelazhur is playing against Maru, but maybe he can at least slow it down when it's gonna be being built. So it's really interesting. At the same time, he's also expanding at home slowly, not making any SCVs at this moment, obviously, because he wants to get the command center upgrade to drop some use and just producing Reapers from 2 racks. That's the plan for this future engagement. And Maru, let's see, so he's going for the factory first. This is a nice opener, so he's gonna have at least something to defend. And Maru, he didn't do any scouting at all in this game, so he's gonna be a bit surprised by what he's gonna see very soon by Kelazhur. It's gonna be 2 Reapers arriving, and it's really important to actually catch the first guy here, so the first Reaper from the blue Terran, but he's also going for proxy scouting as well, so it's gonna be a bit of an unlucky coincidence, maybe, but actually Maru is not seeing this proxy rack, so it's gonna be really interesting. So Kelazhur is trying to follow this Reaper, maybe even like engage in a fight, and actually I feel like he's just baiting time because he wants to get rid of this Reaper, and yes, it actually works out. A backstab shot, that was a very nice done by Kelazhur, and now he can actually clear out this location, maybe even cancel this command center. I think it's gonna happen, and this is actually nice. Also some scouting going from this SCV, and Reapers are just streaming in to the main base and gonna be engaging here with SCVs, so buying some time, and Maru is obviously losing some mineral income as well. That's really nice. Of course Maru is not gonna be dead just because of this attack, because he already has a factor. He's gonna be making Hellions, but Hellions, they get quite a lot of damage from Reapers, and there are also these grenades that can be really annoying, and so far Maru is just unable to finish that command center. At the same time, Kelazhur, though, it also doesn't have his command center, so it's not like a big difference between their economies. It's more about how they're gonna fight in the next engagement, and so far nice shots from Kelazhur landing on this Hellion, which is of course can be repaired easily. But at the same time, it still costs some money, so it's better than nothing. Also, nice run by here, getting one SCV, just slowing down the production of the starport. Not gonna be in time, but it's fine. Still gonna maybe like make a medevac or something like that, or maybe even go for the bench, right? That's actually a much better choice. Cyclone being built from Kelazhur, and also the expansion as well. He needs to try to do something with it as well, because, well, from the looks of it, he's not going to be able to finish this game just with this one attack, and he's actually losing quite a lot of Reapers in this engagement. All of the Maru's units are also heavily bruised, so it's a very nice timing for him to actually attack, for Kelazhur I mean, and maybe even cancel this, or rather postpone this command center once again. It's almost done, but still needs another SCV to actually finish that, and that's been really nicely done by Kelazhur, doing a great job of slowing down your opponent. But at the same time, again, his own command center is still being built. It's gonna be half a minute behind Maru's, so I would say in total, after all these small fights and little engagements, I would say that Maru is still in alright position. Yes, he lost just a bit more resources, but he's got his command CC earlier, so I think it's nice. And at the same time, Kelazhur is also going for the third command center immediately, which is a nice call, to be honest, because, well, it seems like Maru might want to be less aggressive in the next couple of minutes, because he doesn't really know much about how Kelazhur is actually expanding, what he's doing, so it makes sense for him to be just a bit more passive than you would normally suppose to be in this game, right? So Helen gets picked, but the problem here is that for Kelazhur he gets scouted, so I think it was more important for him. And there is a siege tank that's located perfectly between different buildings, and oh my god, this was a nice shot by this siege tank. And Maru is also going for the next command center, so both players are just going to play a normal macro game. It's going to be really nice, and nice micro here by Kelazhur. Not really getting anything except for 2 marines, but that's something still. It's nice, but no much damage really. But it's okay, again. For this matchup and with such players, it's really difficult to end the game with one single attack. So we can't expect that to happen like this. So we can't expect to have a really nice mid game, maybe even long macro game. So that's gonna be really cool. Cyclones are being prepared, and now the most interesting part about TvT is the transition. Because, well, as a Terran player, you pretty much in most matchups have 2 choices. You can go for bio, which is really quick, which is very mobile, can be dropped quite a lot. You can use doom drops, and it's also relatively cheap and still cost efficient, right? Because you only need marines basically. They do quite a lot of damage, they can be devastating in doom drops, and they just do a lot of damage with a +3 upgrades in the late game. But at the same time, in a direct fight they are not as great as the mech army, and that may be a better choice for you. So 1 Raven here, just drops turret, 2 more Cyclones. Well, yeah, it's really tough to engage here, to be honest, because of the siege tanks, because of the Ravens, and just everything that is positioned here for Maru's side. But still, Kelazhur is trying really hard to find a hole in this defense, so maybe he'll be able to accomplish something, but so far, not really. But I'm really amused at how Kelazhur is playing this game. He's been really active on the map, he's trying to put pressure, and Maru seems to be the defender here in this match, which is not often the case, to be honest. Maru is absolutely capable of taking the initiative and setting the pace of the game, but that's not the case for this particular match that we are seeing right now. So Kelazhur, to his advantage, he's taken the 3rd base slightly earlier than Maru, which is really nice for him, but again, it's not really a big deal until something great happens in this match. Maybe the next attack can actually be very impactful for both of them. So Kelazhur doesn't seem to have any medevacs in this army composition, but there are no medevacs for Maru as well, but a lot of Ravens actually, 4 Ravens. There's gonna be a lot for this interference matrices and the turrets, so it's gonna be a nice fight. I don't really feel like Kelazhur should be engaging here, but he is actually dropping those on the tanks, and now he can steam and just go forward, but there is no steam yet, so... Well, it's a nice engagement. He's just trying to delay this base once again, which works out perfectly, but still cannot really continue and move on because there is no steam, which is a bit sad, because I think could have been a game changer if it actually worked. But there is also a cyclone drop in the main base, and Maru is actually losing control of this game. It's really interesting. It doesn't seem to be the case with Maru. You know, it's not happening often when Maru is just being destroyed like this. But so far, I think Kelazhur is doing a great job of just fighting with Maru at every possible front line. And he's gaining himself a nice advantage. Let's just take a look at the workers killed. 11 workers killed. The difference is still 6 though, because Maru has been really diligent with just trying to build his economy and get it running. But yeah, that could be a problem if he just stays passive in the whole game like this. He needs to start trading better. And as we take a look at the resource loss tab, I think they're still quite equal. There's obviously 500 difference for Maru. Maru is losing a bit, but well, it's not really that much. It doesn't really matter until the numbers gets close to like 4k, maybe 5k. It doesn't really matter up until that point. So Kelazhur is just trying to expand even more right now. He understands that, alright, so Maru is on defensive and he's gonna be trying to secure himself a nice late games. He's placing that sensor tower in the middle, so there's not gonna be a chance for Kelazhur to actually approach him suddenly, you know, so it's gonna be a problem for him, obviously. So he now needs to look for different angles to attack his opponent. Could be this location, by the way, so there's a nice destructible rocks here. You can actually just get rid of them and go to the natural base, but also a bit risky because you can get sandwiched from 2 sides here, and this is gonna be a disaster if it happens. But it seems like Kelazhur is still trying to go that way. Okay, well, we'll see how it's gonna work out for him. There is a turret, so actually Maru might be able to see that because of that turret, and yeah, obviously he's relocating immediately to this position. One Liberator at the gates, so it's gonna be very easy to actually force Kelazhur to go away. But the Brazilian Terran is still trying to advance here, so it's not really giving up that easily. But it's interesting, there are just so many missile turrets, and I think it's not the best case for Kelazhur. It's not really the best location to fight, so maybe he should consider actually switching his position. So, but at least he's clearing some Vespin geysers, and he's just trying his best to, maybe deal some small damage. Why not? Or at the same time, he's expanding, so it's nice. Planetary fortress is being built, but there is one cyclone that's being extremely annoying. But apart from that one cyclone, there is nothing really threatening this planetary. But it's more just, just scouting from Maru pretty much. So he just needs to know what he's up against, and now he understands, like, alright, I'm actually quite behind in terms of economy. He already has his 4th CC though, so he's gonna be able to lift and fly there really quickly, but at the same time still, there is just a bit more income from Kelazhur at this point, and Maru might be wanting to catch up somehow. And there is a big supply difference already. Kelazhur has 30 more army supply at the moment, and he can actually try to advance and maybe have a final fight in this game. It's going to be really risky for Maru. He needs to be extremely cautious with this. It's a dangerous position to be in, but Kelazhur also not really so sure about that engagement and about that fight. He's just looking around, just trying to find a place to engage, but it's really difficult in this matchup. It's such a, it's always such a positioning warfare, such a World War I style of warfare all the time in TvT. It's incredibly difficult to find a room or like a path where you can actually safely engage with your opponent. So Kelazhur goes for another decision, so he's just gonna be trying to split his forces, tanks and Vikings here, maybe just try to attack the base, but he got spotted by Maru's Marines, and now he is in danger. Obviously he's just trying to look for this way to reach enemies' bases, but no, I think that is just not happening. So many tanks at this location here, Marines are gonna be just melted here, it's gonna be massacred, and this time, this location is actually very nice, but there are so many turrets by the Maru's Ravens, and it's just not working out. Kelazhur is losing everything at once, and I think it's been a terrible engagement, to be honest. There was just no need to engage like that, but he was very ambitious with this attack, trying to cause harm to that 4th base. Never really worked out, but alright, so what about this group of Marines? I don't feel like they should be even trying to attack, and obviously, yeah, they're just gonna get smashed here, so it's not the best use of that force. So yeah, obviously Kelazhur is going back. He's also adding a couple of extra command centers here, and new bases are being taken, so he understands that, alright, it's gonna be a long game, it's gonna be really tiresome macro from both of them, and I feel like it's a very nice call for him. Maybe he's slightly weaker than Maru in late game, which is, well, not surprising. Maru is the best Terran in the world right now, so yeah, but you have no other choice, really. You had one chance with this like army supply difference, but now it's no longer present, and you just need to be thinking of a different way to try and actually break Maru's defense, and also maybe just win the game after all. But defense is actually really formidable. There's so much. This line is so unbreakable, like a Maginot Line from the French army in World War II, right? It's just like a place where you should never really attack. You can only go around that, and yeah, the only way to go around is actually this location here, but this choke point is pretty narrow, and at the same time I would say this location is already heavily fortified by Maru as well, so, but actually Kelazhur is just trying to break and squeezing in here. Oh my god, this is just horrible. Why are you doing this? Oh my god, this was not even a nice snap. I'm not gonna call that nice. Yeah, it was really bad. He was trying to take Maru by surprise, but there was just so many tanks at every single corner of that base, so just impossible to happen. Maru's defense is impenetrable. I don't think it's really possible to push, and you just need to transition to something else. Maybe like drops, maybe like even some battle cruisers, Sky Army, Ravens, something like that, Vikings, something, but not just like a straight forward engagement, because it doesn't seem to work out that well for Kelazhur. he already lost way more than Maru, 2k. Like, it's again, it's not a big of a difference yet, but if these numbers get stacked up, if it just keeps on increasing, then it's going to be a problem in the late game, because, well, on this base, the only way for Kelazhur to lose more resources and army supply and still win this game is to take this location here and start mining it here, but doesn't look like it's gonna be the case. There's just so much of Maru force. The Maru just keeps on advancing, throwing anti-armor missiles, very nice. But yeah, he can actually just keep on pushing. Kelazhur also has some of the static structures across the map, which is also really nice. And he also has some of his own vision, which is really cool. But yeah, the problem here is that he needs to engage here somehow. He needs to bring all of his forces together, which he's, by the way, doing right now. But I feel like Maru's Sky Army is slightly bigger. He has 15 Vikings versus 10, so not a big of a difference, not like a completely dominated airspace, but still, this is quite a lot, and I feel really scared for Kelazhur. I think he should not be taking that air fight unless there is just a perfect scenario for him. He also doesn't really have any air upgrades, but neither has Maru, so it's fine, I would say. But he should be at least looking for some advantage for him to get a nice anti-armor missile again, and this stack of ravens has just been so annoying for Kelazhur. He needs to disengage once again, not capable to actually advance his forces in that location, just faces a really strong resistance here by a blue Terran player, so needs to think of a different solution to this question. Maybe actually, yeah, no way, there is just no way to break this defense, but this position seems actually vulnerable. Maybe trying to go from the back, something like a backhand blow could actually work. But yeah, it's also very risky, so Kelazhur just seems to me he's a bit lost here, to be honest. Like, he's just walking around the map, he's trying to accomplish something, but nothing really works out for him so far. But maybe there's gonna be one moment like this. For example, at this exact location, both players are just looking for this fight, and Terran missiles are going, Kelazhur sieges up, and there are a lot of marines that push Maru's army back his own bases. But, well, that was nice. I must say that was really good, but still, he needs to target that base. He needs to prevent mining from that location. There is the sky fight happening. Doesn't look that great, to be honest, right now. But still, like, so many marines are steering forward. Nice interference matrices from Kelazhur's side. 2 tanks lost, but this planetary fortress still stays strong. It's still unbreakable at that point. There's a lot of repair going on, and there are so many ravens throwing those abilities, and this is gonna be a big problem. The sky battle starts, but there is no anti-armor missile for Kelazhur, and he needs to be very careful. He needs to target actually Vikings, not the ravens, because he needs to get rid of the air force of his opponent, but he's not doing that, and in the end he's gonna lose the battle. But the planetary fortress still standing really tall, so many HP were lost, but still holding. It was very close to being destroyed. Marine drop happening, but, well, some damage is actually going. Friendly fire from the tanks, but 3 tanks lost, but doesn't feel like there's gonna be enough. Maru is still holding. 4 tanks left, more tanks coming from the Kelazhur side, but he needs extra marines to support the cause here, and maybe even gets more air units right now, because there are 5 Vikings here for Maru, and he's just gonna be pushing Kelazhur back. There's just nothing to do with this sky army, and this is a problem, right? Yeah, throwing turrets, which is nice, but it doesn't really solve the issue here, and Maru still holds this base, which is nice, which is really nice for him. So, and also dropping from his own side, marines are coming down, doing this very important kamikaze work to destroy those tanks. But yeah, it's for Kelazhur is just looking really bad. He has still an army supply advantage, but, well, it's just not working out for him, and he just needs to be careful with those ravens. He cannot afford to lose those ravens. They are very expensive, and it's not going to be a great decision for him to just dive in with all those units. Not many tanks left for Kelazhur as well, so he needs to just flee from that position. He cannot really afford to continue fighting and assaulting on this fortress here. So that's a right call, but let's take a look at how much stuff has been lost. And for Kelazhur, the losses are still piling up, which is a pretty bad issue for this game, and he needs to kinda maybe circumvent this defense somehow and go from the back door here. Could actually work out. But he's actually going instead to this location where there are 2 tanks that were just approaching fresh from the factory, and they are already in the position to defend against this aggression from a red Terran player. Also, these rocks, I would like them to be destroyed. Really, it would be really great. But Kelazhur is just trying to squeeze in. Oh my god, he's still gonna be attempting this attack. There's one tank that's trying to defend against 40 Marines. 40 to 1 basically, like a Sabaton song, but actually so many Marines are streaming to the main base of Maru. Could be a problem actually, but they're so bruised, they're so low on HP. Maybe they're gonna get some of the infrastructure like this starport, maybe in command center, but well, they're still gonna be lost. I'm not sure if this is actually a very nice trade for Kelazhur, but this is at least something. I actually thought they're just gonna get destroyed here, but it's actually at least working out to some extent. But only a couple of Marines and a couple of tourists clear out all this mess, and those Marines are just Rambos. They're just shooting every single target. 8 kills for this guy and 5 kills for this guy, and this was a very nice defense by Maru basically. And Kelazhur now, he doesn't have a bank anymore. He is still trying to assault this base and besieges this location once again. Looks to be really working out so far because there's just not much forces from Maru's side. But the problem here again, let's take a look at the sky dominance here, and Maru still has more air units and also a Liberator which can now easily siege up and just force tanks to leave. And now I think Maru, for the first time in this game, he actually gained a comfortable leading position. So it's his time to actually try to attack Kelazhur this time, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. So he's just coming here with tanks, Ravens, Vikings, and Medvacs as well to support the infantry. So yeah, this is a really nice engagement. Kelazhur is not even trying to actually save this base. Instead, he's going for a base trade. I think it's really too ambitious, to be honest, because there are still many tanks left. Maru lost this base, by the way, but it's not really money anymore, so it's not a big deal. But actually, Maru is also trying back. He's trying to go back. It's because like he feels like, alright, this base is still gonna get down. So he just needs to protect his main base from being destroyed by this big run by here. Feels like a right call. He actually manages to get here in time and just massacres Kelazhur army. He still has pretty much nothing on the ground. There are plenty of Vikings still left though, but well, Maru's sky dominance is just uncontested at this point, so Kelazhur needs to go back, needs to regroup, restore some of his forces, and maybe like try to come back once again. But he's already really far behind in this game. There is still like a decent chance of him actually coming back if he just wins one single engagement really well. You know, he just needs like to have a total victory, not like a normal fight where you exchange somewhat evenly. You just need to completely destroy enemy forces and still have the majority of your army left untouched, but this is not the case. There is not a sky fight happening with these air forces, but Maru just seems to have more at the moment, and this is not looking good for Kelazhur. He's still trying to set up some defenses, some tanks and marines, but losing the air dominance is the first sign of the collapse for a Terran player in this matchup, I would say. You can of course build force as a measure, right, as something, as like a proper counter to this, but I don't feel like this is gonna be the case right now because, well, they're also very expensive, they take up lots of supply, and yeah, this is just not the best tool to deal with this kind of army of Maru. Maybe like in a very late game, maybe like when you have enough resources, but Kelazhur, at this point, he cannot even afford a continuous stream of marines, so he needs to at least somehow re-establish this location and just make more units, just get like 200 supply, maybe not the best supply that he can afford, but still something, because, well, there is gonna be the time when Maru attacks again. He has like this full mech army. He still has some marines, like a bunch of them thrown in this mix, but, well, it's mostly about mech units, to be honest, and also battle cruisers are being added, so it's gonna be a big deal right now on the battlefield, especially if he just manages to secure that space, right? Because there are not so many air units, but Kelazhur is actually adding more this time, so he kind of senses that, alright, I've been losing so many air battles throughout this game, so I kind of need to turn that around, and maybe this is the answer to this puzzle right here. Maybe this is gonna be the saving moment for Kelazhur, but so far he needs to be very careful. There are still just way more Vikings for Maru's side, so he needs to wait for more ships to come, right, and just gather all of his forces together and then have this final sky engagement. That's going to be a very nice decision, I feel like. But obviously Kelazhur is not aware about that. Maybe he's just feeling really scared that Maru can transition into something else, like a large number of battle cruisers as well. Ravens, just like a proper sky army. The problem for Kelazhur though here, he doesn't have the +3 upgrades on his ships, basically on his spaceships, and this is a problem right now. Because when numbers are so high with this sky units, it's going to be a very big factor in the upcoming battle. But he has more Vikings at least in this engagement, so there's going to be this big fight here. Nice anti-armor missiles, and looks like actually Kelazhur is winning this finally, but there are battlecruisers with Yamato cannons going to be destroying some of the Vikings as well, and they are also taking a lot of damage. It's really hard to kite your enemy units when you face those battlecruisers that just soak in this damage. And yeah, this is what Maru is actually looking for. He's trying to tank with this unit, and seems to be working out nicely, and Kelazhur is just trying to hold his ground somehow. Feels like he's doing alright actually, but no, actually this fight looks way worse than the previous one. He's losing too many aircrafts right here and needs to be extremely cautious with the next engagement, but probably I feel like he's gonna be forced to sacrifice this base once again, and Maru is just advancing slowly and very carefully, but he's still achieving his goals. All the Ravens are gonna be lost here, and feels like the last air battle for Kelazhur. His infantry and tanks are not gonna be seeing any friendly birds in the sky for quite some time in this game, I feel like, and this is gonna be a very bad factor for their morale here in this game. And also, half of the infantry was forced to attack to the tanks, and they were all just slaughtered here, so Kelazhur is writing GG, and this is end of this game. He had a nice lead in this battle, actually. I think he was doing really alright, but Maru, with his solid defense, was able to overcome that and managed to secure that victory at the end. So this is it for our cast for today. Thanks a lot for watching, subscribe for more, have a nice day, and see you next time.